let's kick it off with what's your story, Kris? Like, have you always been an entrepreneur? Have you always just thought of super awesome creative things to do and things to create?
Well, I guess it really comes down to how far back you want to go, right? I think entrepreneurs in a lot of ways are born, and it's just something about them, right? Like thick skin, short memory, tough, creative, um, aggressive, rule breakers. I mean, I've been fired from every job I've ever had, right? And then I kind of figured out that I had to do my own thing, but it, what really kind of was cool to me is when I was in my 20s, I started looking back at where I came from and didn't have a lot of money, right? And if it will be, it's up to me kind of mentality. And I remember back when I was in middle school, I would go to Sam's Club or BJ's or whatever, and I would buy candy in bulk, and then I would about 10 cents a piece, whatever it was. So I go to school and sell it for 25 cents. It's a pretty good return, right? And but then it started really scaling it up. I was aggressive. I was like, well, this is great. I can either do my work or I can make $20 a day hustling candy or pencils, your pencil breaks, like those silly ass games we'd play back in the day. So I
Yeah.
was selling pencils, I had candy, I had toothpicks, I had all this crazy stuff that was like whatever was in. And I even remember riding my bike up to like a AT&T at one point where I could strip all their junk wire and I would put it in the rolls, and all the girls were making like the little rings and necklaces out of the wire, that colorful wire. So yeah, I mean, I was a hustler, right? And that's really what it kind of came down to. And hindsight, look back, it's like, oh, this is something I've always kind of had in me. Um, was this hyperdrive when I saw something I wanted. Um, but then, if we talk about real life, I got into Gold's Gym back in, I don't know, 2002, and I was opening up gyms. And I was really outside the box with my marketing strategies and ideas. I was building beaches in the gym so I could put tiki bars in the male trainers with coconut bras. Like I really was outside the box. And we crushed. Like we were doing hundreds and hundreds of memberships. The owner, we were winning best gym in the southeastern US. Like we were kicking ass. And I remember a guy, his name was Brian. He came up to the front desk. He's like, dude, the owner's not going to step aside and give you ownership here. Like you're as far as you can go. And I mean, what a punch in the gut, right? You think you're just kicking ass and you're, 21, 22 years old, whatever the case may be. And that hit me. And so I put in my 2 weeks, and I was GM running stuff. And that's when my entrepreneurial journey kind of kicked off, was in 2008. So coming up, 15 years. But yeah, like I wanted to go do my own thing, and I couldn't. I was unemployable easily, because my ideas were always better than their ideas. In most cases, they were, but nobody who's 10 years older wants to hear that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I jumped into real estate, and I had a real estate coaching program where I was flipping houses nationally, which was kind of cool. And just one thing led to the other. I've been in the cannabis space. I've had restaurant. I've had social media management companies. I still own a consulting company, bat mugs, golf balls. Like it's just, what I realized is my core competency, and that's people, sales, and creative marketing strategies. And I don't do anything else in anything else I do. I only do what I do best, only. And then everything else kind of, happens around me. And that's really where I found my groove. So it's a real
That's
long ass answer for a basic question, but I think really
yeah.
that's kind of what it is. You
Yeah,
know,
no, that's actually really awesome that you figured out, hey, I'm really freaking good at these three things. And then
yeah,
that's it. I'm gonna always incorporate this because I'm a rock star at it. Like
yeah.
how did you just come about that because you just kind of did some like thinking over the weeks or days and figured out like, oh, this is what all of those jobs had in common? Like how did you come up with those three things that you were
Yeah,
awesome at?
you look for the common denominators just in life in general. I mean, if you have four relationships in a row and they all suck and they all end up in one situation, well, maybe that's the problem. That one situation, it's a character flaw, it's something you need to work on. So it's just finding a common denominator with habits and scenarios in your life. And in business, what I found is I was always being fired or, scolded to some extent because I was trying to recreate a way to generate revenue, to generate sales, to generate this. So when I look back at that, it's like either everybody's right or I'm right, and I was certainly in the mindset that I'm right, and so I started just kind of working that out, right, and proving that you can be really outside the box with marketing and with creative ideas. And I'm 41, so I feel like I was kind of born on that cusp of, Facebook. When I was working at the gym, we were leveraging this new site called Facebook that just came out. Right. So for me, I understood the technology and I understood the intricacies of the technology and and like the functionality of it. But I'm also a really good belly to belly, personable. I understand people. I understand communication. I understand relationship, charisma. Right. But what I did is I was born in a really unique time where I could take that, but do it in a one to many format, right, with social media. And that's kind of the catalyst is I was able to be me virtually and do it from a one to many standpoint. And I did it with social. I did it with the gym. I did it with, everything I kind of touched. And when you do it over and over and it continues to work, you kind of, file that away like, okay, well, you've always been good with sales and people and connecting and networking. Well, now you're finding creative ways to do that online. So in comes e-commerce, in comes online sales, just things like that. It's kind of how I figured it out, trial and error. Hell, I almost died 8 years ago, 7.5 years ago, and I was so busy, being so busy trying to do everything. I got real lucky. And when you reflect on that, what happened was I realized if all I do is the things I'm absolutely best at, one, I have significantly more time on my hands, and I'm more effective in the time that I spend doing what I'm doing. So, it wasn't days and weeks. It was more like years and years, dodging bullets, bloody noses, stuff like that.
How were you in school? Were you like good in school and like a rule follower or no?
No, I got expelled. And they almost didn't let me walk. We threw the best parties at our house. We were we tried to hang with the popular kids for the most part. There was certainly some underage drinking going on, a couple mishaps here and there. And actually I got expelled right before graduating. And they let me back the day before. I wasn't allowed to walk, but I did get my diploma, but I graduated with high honors.
Mhm.
So in school, I really enjoyed school, but I think it was the social components of school that I
Right.
enjoyed. And again, hindsight, right? It's looking back, I realize how critical that is to the awesome existence I have now is the social component. So to be honest with you, my daughter, I have an 8-year-old, and I did a teacher parent conference, and they're talking to me about all, her, what the hell she's doing in school. And I was like, and they're like, yeah, but she's really social. She loves talking to everybody, this and that. And I was like, that's great news. And they're like,
Yeah.
no. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, that's really good news that she loves everybody. I said, is she a helper? So I don't know. I look at school and I look at a lot of those types of things very differently than most people. Developing the skills that I believe are important is what it did for me. Following the rules was not one of them. And here we are, all these years later, and I'm still not doing it.
Right. I asked that because I grew up and like know people that had that profile in school of like being like, the kind of like class clowns and not following directions and getting in trouble and getting expelled or whatever. And they're like the most successful people I know now because they are so creative and they're the leaders. They didn't want to be like, put in a box and led by someone else. So it's like, I 100% believe that it's an innate thing that you're born with and you always have it from the time you're a kid to now. So
what does that tell us about school, right? Like
exactly.
that's a whole nother podcast.
That is a whole nother.
I'm not going down that because I just don't have that much time, but
Right.
that should tell us a lot of what we need to know rather than identify the core strengths of an individual and just absolutely lean into them. right? I'm 300 pounds. I'm not running and jumping hurdles. I'm not built for that. Okay. I will do the things that I'm built to do, and I'll do the hell out of them. And so many of these kids and so many of these people and so many people that are in these jobs that they absolutely hate. Well, it's because you're not doing anything you're good at. You're doing what's convenient. You're scared to do anything different. But the reality is the peace and the fulfillment comes when you're, aligned. I feel like, like you said, I mean, I think people in school that their minds are just so deep into something else sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we won't go too deep in that, but I
Yeah.
agree with you on that 100%.
Let's get to Dugout Mugs. We see the bats and balls behind you. How did you come up with this idea, and what is it?
So I didn't come up with the idea. I have a saying that I love, and it's, I'm here to help people do what they're doing better than they're doing it, right? By leveraging my core competencies. And that would be Randall Thompson, amazing guy, ex-baseball player, played in the Blue Jays organization. And he was a pitcher, and, he made it as high up as he could, but he just wasn't good enough to go all the way. And at that point, it was kind of like a reinvent yourself. He wanted to stay close to the game. He went through a number of different jobs, hated them, quit them, and ended up back at his alma mater, Florida Tech here in Florida. And as a pitching coach, and the hitting coach was cutting bats in half in the dugout to do a hitting drill, and with the handles. And so the barrels are all laying around the dugout, and Randall picked one up and he's like, "Hey, can I have these?" He thought he could drill one out and turn it into a mug. And it turns out he's right. You can. And that's kind of how it started. And then he backburnered the idea and then tried to get real jobs, and he just couldn't do it. And he brought it back to life in early 2016, struggle busted a little bit. But I mean, managed to do belly to belly about $70,000 in sales, which is no small feat on a side hustle. And then we connected in late 2016, and I told him, I said, this is right after I got sick. And I said, "Listen, man, I threw up a prayer and I said, God, get me out of this and put somebody in my path that is special and that needs me as much as I need them. And let's see what we can do." And out of left field, pun intended, this guy comes out of nowhere and hits me up, and we have a good conversation in 2016. And I tell him, I said, "Look, man, if you're ready to go all in, I'll run with you on this, but I'm serious. Like, you're quitting your job. I'll get rid of some of the stuff that's clogging up my brain space." And we came to terms, and, I stepped in as a 40% owner of the company, and we kicked off January 2017 and been going strong ever since. Tens of millions of dollars later, we're still slinging mugs in all 50 states, all 30 stadiums, 7 different countries, working with brands like Budweiser, Coors, Miller, Fox, Sony. Yeah, I mean, it's nuts.
That's amazing, because you guys are licensed with MLB too, right?
Major League, minor league, Hall of Fame players. Yeah, the list goes, and NCAA is beating our door down, and we're the belle of the ball, right? Like, we're the only one. We had one other competitor, and we bought him last year. So quite literally, if you want a bat mug, it's coming through me, which is really cool, or Dugout, I should say. So now, it's the sky's the limit, I feel like.
How did you even get licensed, right? With MLB and all of them? Like, how does that even come about?
Well, you got to have some guts, that's for sure, because it's not cheap. I mean, just to get the license, you're a few $100,000. So you better know your numbers. You better know your shit. You better have a plan. And we started with the Players Association, which is all the players.
Right.
And I had a company with a guy who had a license, and he made an introduction. It was awesome. Shout out Eric, if you're listening. He made a great introduction. The PA flipped me a license because I was part of this other company too. And we 5X'd our numbers with them.
Wow.
They wanted us to a minimum guarantee with licensing. It's like you're guaranteed to pay X amount of dollars, regardless if you sell anything or not. And it's kind of like a prepaid royalty. And then at the end of the year, you figure out if you overshot it and you need to pay more kind of thing. Well, the MG was 10K. We paid like 50, right? So blew the numbers out of the water. They've never seen anything like this, from a startup. And then when I reached out to Major League Baseball, a guy named Marco, shout out if you're listening, buddy, reached out to, there's a lot of people that made this thing happen. I'm going to show love every chance I get. So Marco made a call to MLB and they're like, no, we're good on drinkware. And he's like, well, this ain't drinkware. This is collectible. And so he went back to bat for us. And I'm really glad he did. And we got a really aggressive offer. And they're like, look, guys, it's a few $100,000 just to play ball. And I was like, all right, send me the contract. And I say, here's my numbers. Here's our plan. Here's our product. And I said, if you guys want to turn down the money, you can. They don't want to turn down the money.
Right.
So we turned around and we smoked it. And we did it again and we did it again. And they just renewed us for another 2 years last month.
That's awesome. Cause you guys are doing like you said, it's like custom, like people are buying it for like a groom's
100%.
gift or whatever,
Kind of for everything. Graduation, Father's Day, Mother's Day, opening day, corporate gifts. Like, hey, you really knocked it out of the park, sales team. Here's 50 of them for our 50 sales reps. It is amazing. The different, verticals that our products are being used in.
Right.
Sony, MLB The Show, all the players that play online, like the MLB players that jump in and do like influencer style stuff. They're all drinking out of Dugout Mugs with their name on it and Sony on the front. Budweiser gives it to their influencers. Miller Lite just got, I think I got like 10,000 last year, and they did, everybody in all the baseball cities were scanning to win Dugout Mugs. The World Series are on the Jumbotrons. Like, it's crazy.
That's insane. You must be so like excited and elated when you see that. Like, wow. Like,
yeah. People sending me pictures from Canada. They're just cruising around in Canada. Like, dude, look what's on the shelf. Someone, my sister-in-law was somewhere the other day getting a car, and the manager has one in the back up on his desk. But it's what it is. It's starting to not catch us by surprise. It's kind of to be expected, which I guess is a good and bad, right? But we have a long way to go. I'd say probably 8 out of 10 people that we talk to still never heard of it.
Wow.
Which is cool. That means there's a lot of runway.
That's true. That's true.
Do you use recycled bats, or do you use like brand new bats and make them for
originally? Yeah, it was craft bats and broken bats, but we make a lot of bat mugs. So we take the same barrel. I don't have one with me. We take the same barrel that makes, or the same billet that makes a bat, and we just turn it into 3 barrels instead. But then we have different profiles. There's a wine mug. It's called the Wind Up. We have a metal, the one I'm drinking out of. It looks like an old school metal bat with the lid. We have shot glasses made out of bat handles. We have half baseballs that are cut in half and turned into bottle openers. Like, see, we got the shot glass for the Astros. It's a little bat.
Oh, cute. Yeah.
Here's one we just did a collab with Folds of Honor. It's a baseball bat handle bottle opener. Yeah.
You guys have really expanded.
Yeah, we have a full lineup. We have a whiskey mug now, and we have a couple new products coming out. We have Coke or cork coasters, and I'm working on a bottle brush too right now. A bat handle bottle brush. It's going to be fun and practical. Okay. But all MLB, all licensed, all solid wood. It's really cool.
Nice. So I think we should say just like the capacity and what you've done so far. Or not capacity, but just what you've done so far. You said you did 1.1 million in your first year selling Dugout Mugs, and then
pretty much just this guy, just our flagship Dugout Mug was really the main product,
which is amazing. And then you were also featured in Forbes and entrepreneur.com, Inc. 5000, the cover of multiple magazines or in multiple magazines. That's awesome.
Yeah. Who knew, right? Just cups.
Yeah. So, and then I know you said now you've kind of gotten into other areas of sports like golf.
So I had a little passion project come my way. Actually Tampa Bay Business Wealth, Bridget, love her. Hopefully she's listening. Shout out to Bridget. But they did a really cool piece, and in there, I laughed at it when I read it, especially the photos they used was amazing. But it said, known as a maverick in business with a golden touch or something weird like that. And I guess there's some truth to that, because a lot of people are coming to me like, I have this thing, here's half the company, like help me make it work, kind of thing. So it's kind of neat to see that. But I'm also very cognizant of bandwidth, and I realize that I don't want to miss out on the important things because I'm so busy chasing whatever the hell it is, money, success, fame, blah, blah, whatever. Thank God I'm getting to a point in my life where I'm not as worried about that kind of stuff. But golf is a passion of mine. So this golf company came along. It was called Bigg Golf, BIGG, Bigg Golf. And it was right up my alley. I mean, it was a semi-serious, really, it was a good quality ball, but that was it. It was just golf balls, a single item, bit company. And I thought to myself, it's like, so you sell big balls, right? He's like, yeah. So I just couldn't help but snicker, right? Like, why not? That shit's hilarious. So I thought to myself, it's like, okay, so let's make Bigg Golf more of a tongue-in-cheek, fun, funny brand. It's right up my alley. I play poor golf just like most people.
Right.
And we're going to sell big balls, and we're going to have our videos are going to be not people hitting a 300-yard drive. It's hitting like 280 straight into the woods and getting a high five from his friends because it still hit it 280. Right. It's the cigars. It's the mantra of the company was, we're not here to make your game better. We're here to make your game more fun. And that's what we're going to do, whether it's, giving you fun, cool quality products at a good price, or is it our new cigar line that's dropping called the Big Stick? It's just having fun with it. Because if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
Right.
I love your motto. Yeah. That's exactly where we come from too. Just do what you love and have fun doing it.
Yeah. Because even on bad days, you're still having a good time.
Right.
Exactly.
That's like with partnerships. If you have a good partner, like even on bad days, you're still with good people. Right. If you have a bad partner, even on good days, he's still an asshole. Like, I don't want that at all.
Right. Yeah. That's why Ash and I work together.
Yeah. You'll be chasing great days because it's the only day you can stomach at the end of it.
Yeah. Well, what's next? Anything beyond Bigg Golf and Dugout Mugs?
Dugout's got a long way to go. We've entertained some offers. People have come along and said they wanted it, but they don't want it more than we do. Right. And there will be a day that comes where somebody's going to slide in. Maybe it's a Fanatics, maybe it's a Tervis, maybe it's a Yeti, maybe it's a VC, maybe it's a private equity group. I don't know. Looking to roll up a company that has 1 million customers that buy high-end licensed merchandise, right? That's pretty sexy. So we're going to keep building the company as if we're going to keep it forever, but understanding that somebody's going to slide in at some point and want it more than we do. And that's okay. That's what business is about. Randall's a young gun, starting a family. He's early 30s, so he's got a lot of, and he loves to invent and do and create. So he's got a long road ahead of him, but I don't see anything going down the next couple of years, at least with Dugout. We got a pretty clear path to, 10, we're already at 10, 15, 20, maybe 20, 25 million when we're doing that annually. I think it'll be a good conversation to have at that point, but that's going to include NCAA. It's going to be an entire wholesale distribution channel. It's going to be international distribution. It's going to be perhaps big box retail. We tested that, and I don't know how fond we are of it, but yeah, it's just kind of ironing out a few more of those things, and continuing to optimize and become more efficient at what we do. Yeah, so that's Dugout. Bigg Golf is, quite literally at the end of the day, if it flops, I'm still playing a lot of golf and having cigars and playing with my friends. So it's not a bad thing. I think it's got legs. A couple things with that. So we just launched a recurring membership for golf balls. Golf balls are like $40-$50 a dozen, right? For decent balls. So our balls are made by the same group that makes Vice golf balls. So it's a decent quality ball. And we're doing $25 a month for a dozen golf balls. Just put it on a recurring membership model. It's great. It's easy, predictive. Yeah. Everybody gets a dozen balls showing up. That's easy. And then I'm really curious to see what the cigar line does. I know a lot of people in that industry. So kind of excited to see what happens there. But outside of that, I mean, I have a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old, so I'm really not in a huge hurry to, bury myself in chasing something. The only other passion I have is photography and travel. So I can very possibly, especially as crazy as the world's going, take my kids and my wife and we travel around taking photos and traveling, and I kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Right.
That's
Right.
it. Yeah, I'm pretty simple.
I need to know, can we get these balls in colors? I
You can get them
love,
in yellow right now.
you can't get blue. I'm really shocked that you
Working
can't.
on it.
Okay.
Working on it.
Please work
Yeah.
on that for
I,
me.
I was even thinking about from a gamification standpoint, like if you find our blue balls, like we randomly put sleeves in there, you
Yes.
get like golf balls for a year,
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah. So I got a few ideas with that, but again, like this is very new, right? This is only a few months old, and we've already got 23,000 dozen golf balls in hand. So
Wow.
we're ready to roll. But there's a lot of preliminary things we had to do from an infrastructure standpoint. It's still kind of a bootstrap thing, and 90% of my time is spent with Dugout Mugs. So it's letting the other guys that are involved really kind of dig in and do what we do. It's not a huge race, more of a get it together, because we have all the influencers. We got influencers ready to push, so that's going to go good. I think we picked up 500 or 600 followers since yesterday, so that's kind of running. Yeah, but colored balls. The big ball bag is one I'm working on, which is kind of just like a nut bag that hangs off your bag to hold
Yep.
balls. Tea
Okay.
bag to hold your
I've
keys. Like,
seen
it's gonna be
that. I
so
wonder if
funny.
it's yours. Yeah. I've seen that
No,
before.
there are a few of them out there, but again, it's
Okay.
just lifestyle brand. Like I'm working on a magnetic speaker to put in the cart that just
Yeah.
sticks to the thing, just easy, normal
Yeah.
stuff. It's nothing proprietary, nothing crazy. It's a golf ball, right?
Mhm.
Why is someone going to buy mine over another? Well, it's quality, it's a decent price, it's funny. I think
Mhm.
that'd be enough, and it's convenient. So if you golf and you needed a dozen every other month, well, we have another membership that gives you one every other month.
Right. I think that's great.
Make it easy.
Yeah. Ash and I have a golf tournament coming up. Where can we get big balls?
It's fun to say, isn't it?
Right.
Right on the site. Bigg Golf.
Okay. Bigg Golf.
Yeah. BIGG.
Okay.
BiggGolf.com.
And we'll include some links in our show notes as well.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So Bigg Golf, and then Dugout Mugs. We will include.
Dugout Mugs is rocking. We're in Dick's Sporting Goods. We're in Fanatics, Rally House, Shields.
That's amazing.
We're starting to really cruise. In Tampa, we're at Dick's in Tampa in the Rays section. We're at
Nice.
Tropicana Field. You'll see them there for sure.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, Kris, anything that you want to share with our listeners other than what we talked about already? I mean, that was great.
No, I mean, I'm an open book. It's crazy that I feel like I've lived like 6 or 7 lives right to this point. Like I said, I was in cannabis, I was in the restaurant, I was running gyms, I was hell, I've seen 20 countries. Like it really just depends on from the conversation. There's really nothing I want to share. The only thing I tell people all the time is just be cool to one another. That's literally all I ever ask for. They don't need to find me. They don't have to buy anything I'm selling. They just need to just slow down, find some music that just makes you slow down and listen to it more often. And just be good to people. Life's too short for that shit. Everybody's pissed off about everything. Just
Yeah.
be good.
That is a
I
great.
love that.
Well,
Too many people trying to, you know how it is. You've opened your eyes today. So that's all I ask people to do, is just be cool and be nice.
Be cool.
I love that. Yeah.
Same advice I give my 8-year-old.
Right. Don't
be a helper and love people today. Okay, Daddy.
Right. Oh, that's sweet. I like that.
Every day,
Yeah.
I tell the same thing.
Right. Especially for little girls. I feel like they get in these little tiffs all the time.
Yeah, she's gonna
What's up with
be
that?
she's gonna be a badass though. I can see it. Yeah, I'm serious. It's happening already.
You have 2 girls or a girl and a
2,
boy?
yeah, 2 little girls.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
I'm very excited to see the path they both take.
Mhm.
One, but I wake up and she's already started a company in the living room and charging me money just to bring me my breakfast or whatever. And the other one asked if she can be a princess when she grows up. And I was like, yeah.
Aw.
Let's go in 2 different directions, and it's going to be
Right.
awesome to see.
I
Again,
love
so what's
that.
next? It's like, I'm going to slow down and I'm going to try to not be distracted, right? Like that's a practice. It's not something you just do.
Right.
It's practice. So whether it's slowing down or whether it's speeding up or whether it's being successful, it's just consistency and practice. Right. I haven't figured anything out or anything magical, like, but I do have an idea of what it looks like so that I can identify it quickly and get back on track. So what's next is continue to practice slowing down, having fun, and doing only the things I do best.
I love that.
Usually it's gonna end up in business, but that's what I'm going to actually try to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Great lessons. Thank you so much for sharing that with us and sharing your story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
absolutely.
awesome.
Well, I'm always down to support anybody repping Tampa. You know, that was my home for quite a while. So I wish the best to y'all and anybody out there. Have an awesome day.
Thanks, Kris.
Thank you.